The FBI says access to the temple could still be closed off for several days. It is still several blocks from where we are standing. FBI agents have been inside all day, as they were all night. The attention now turns to the 6 victims and the man who shot them, as federal agents look for clues and point to domestic terrorism and possibly white supremacy.
Ranjit Singh, 49 years old, male.
The morning briefing is a time for questions.
Satwan Singh Kaleka, 62 years old, male.
For the more than 24 members of the Sikh community who show up.
Prakash Singh, male, 39 years old.
The reality is in the answer.
We know everybody. We know everyone.
The terrible event that we witnessed yesterday should not be a part of America.
Police tell of 40-year-old Wade Michael Page trying to kill more, acting alone and shooting Oak Creek Police Lieutenant Brian Murphy up to 9 times.
The officers did a officer rescue, provided cover, and carried him to a squad and got him out of the scene, even though he was trying to get them to go into the temple.
Federal authorities reveal Page used a 9mm handgun, which was bought legally, saying they're working to interview anyone who knew him.
We are looking at ties to white supremacist groups.
As the briefing ends, a community still questions. One rooted in equality and justice, searching for the toughest answer, why?
It's just shocking, to see, there's people like this in America, so.
That lieutenant, who was shot between 8 and 9 times, is in stable yet serious condition at Milwaukee Area Hospital tonight. Neither local nor federal law enforcement would speculate yet on a motive, but they spent the day reassuring the Sikh community that all of the attention of the FBI is here. Reporting live in Oak Creek tonight, Matt Smith, Action 2 News.
This is a hall that we use for lunch and for gym.
Take a walk through this 9th Street neighborhood near Milwaukee's South Side. A realtor would find one name. So you guys have taken over this neighborhood.
Yeah, a little bit.
Step inside St. Anthony School. You find a comprehensive test.
Now, we did not warn anybody you were coming, and we do that on purpose.
Ground 0 for school vouchers.
And peel avocado, peel avocado.
99% of St. Anthony students receive taxpayer-funded educations.
Good morning, boys and girls.
The private Catholic school, whose enrollment was in the hundreds a decade ago, has exploded to nearly 1,700 students. St. Anthony opened a high school 3 years ago.
A lot of critics would say that, Catholic schools are closing, and this just provides public funds to save Catholic schools, which weren't good enough to stay open without public funds. Well, that's just not true.
In 2005, state lawmakers ordered a massive 4-year study on Milwaukee's voucher program, tracking a similar group of students, half receiving vouchers, the other half in Milwaukee public schools. The University of Arkansas's School Choice Demonstration Project headed the privately funded research. Target 2 found some of the money came from pro-voucher foundations, which supporters quickly defend.
The study itself was completely peer-reviewed, and no fault was found in any of the methodology that they had.
What the research found, a higher likelihood, between 4 and 7% of graduation and college enrollment from the voucher students, but mixed results in testing, concluding no evidence of any harmful effects on Milwaukee's voucher program.
Do we compete with public schools? Technically, yes. Do we feel like it's necessary to compete with public schools? No.
What? Illuminated. What does that word mean again?
But the program district-wide isn't without problems. In fact, a separate study by the Center on Education Policy found flaws in that research, concluding vouchers don't have a strong effect on student achievement.
There's lack of accountability. There are students who aren't being successful. There are multitudes of schools shutting down all over the country with no accountability.
The Department of Public Instruction tells Target 2 in the past decade, 46 Milwaukee voucher schools have been forced to close, reasons varying from safety issues to denied accreditations. Jim Bender, president of School Choice Wisconsin, a Milwaukee-based nonprofit aimed at expanding the program statewide, says the problems haunting the early days have been fixed.
I will be the first person to say that we have a wide variety of schools in Milwaukee. Some are extremely high performing, some of them are not very high performing. And I think some of the things you'll be seeing coming up here are going to be reforming the system to deal with some of that disparity in the system.
How many of you are planning to go to college? Let me see. Very good.
St. Anthony, the largest voucher school in Milwaukee, by their own accounts, is flourishing.
I just feel like our mentality of success is different than a public school.
A voucher test that, whether proves effective or not, continues growing each year.
In our seats, 2.
Milwaukee Public Schools didn't want to comment for this story. Instead, they issued us a statement saying the program siphons money from the district, forcing its taxpayers to make up the rest. By the way, on that accountability front, Governor Walker's office tells Target 2 he supports voucher schools adhering to those new report cards that are the basis for public districts to qualify. That, though, could be part of separate legislation. We have a lot more information for you on our website, more of that research and a list of the Milwaukee voucher schools that have closed and the reason why. Just go to WBAY.com and click on Target 2.
You want paper or plastic today? Plastic. All right.
A trip to the grocery store is meant to satisfy our taste buds.
Betty, carry out please, Betty.
But tucked away in aisle 2 of Dick's Family Foods in Wrightstown.
There you go. $12.19, please.
A little hometown flavor for our phone?
I don't think too many people knew exactly what it's all about.
To tell you what a woodchuck case is and why it's here, we must first head east to the lakeshore.
It's a matter of, are you guys ready to play? And
meet Ben Vandenwymelenberg and Kevin Grungus. Ben, a Wrightstown native, Kevin from Minnesota are new college grads. And like any good college idea, it started
a little over a year and a half ago, drinking a beer in the architecture studios.
That ideas turned into this, a full-fledged business selling the woodchuck case, a true wood veneer cover for iPhones, iPads, and everything in between.
I think we'd ultimately like to be known as trailblazers.
Trailblazers in bringing manufacturing and jobs back to the U.S.
It's about supporting those ideals, and yeah, you could absolutely go get a $5 case on eBay that was made in China. Totally could do that, and that's where we differ ourselves. We're real wood, we're making it with recycled materials, and it's about something more than just cell phone cases.
So there's the drawing.
The prototypes for each woodchuck case originate in Manitowoc, from the initial drawings at the industrial maintenance company K&M.
A lot of times, you got to hold it in your hand.
To crafting the product itself. The process, as intricate as it is critical, carves not only a business, but a philosophy. Look closely. See the words on each case? Made in the USA.
Whenever somebody wants to manufacture something in the U.S., we always give it our best shot.
The wood ships from Kentucky, packaged, printed, and shipped in Minneapolis. A product and production uniquely American in an industry shying away.
And that's a story that we're willing to stand behind. We're willing to tell to any customer. And if you're not willing to put down, a couple extra dollars to bring jobs back to the States, that's your own choice.
The startup loans from family and friends, they say, will eventually be paid off. Already in hundreds of college bookstores, the woodchuck cases sell on BestBuy.com, of course, their website too. The biggest seller, the iPhone case. The two say they're selling about 1,000 a week. Ben and Kevin say they're negotiating to get inside Best Buy and Target stores too.
We're living like college students because we know how to and we're fine with it until woodchuck case gets off the ground to where we ultimately want it to be.
That not being measured in numbers, but the letters inscribed.
If every single case in big box retailers was made in the USA in 2 years, okay, then maybe we did our job.
Matt Smith, Action 2 News. Look outside the Ripon home of Carrie Knits to find symbolism. Look inside.
That's kind of cool. You don't get to shake his hand.
To find meaning. 21 years with the Wisconsin National Guard found retirement 4 years ago this spring. 2 tours to Iraq, New Orleans for Hurricane Katrina, even Washington, D.C. to accompany her employer Oshkosh Truck.
I had to get a party dress and everything. The Freedom Award it was.
And what Carrie Knits and an estimated 80 Wisconsin National Guard soldiers are still missing is tied up in red tape.
The biggest thing I think would be frustration.
When the Oshkosh-based 1157th returned from Iraq in 2007, a new Army program was launching, providing extra pay or leave days for service members bearing multiple back-to-back deployments. Members of the 1157th learned about it 2.5 years later in a letter from the Army.
You fill out the paperwork off of the first letter, and either you get sent a check or direct deposit.
So you were under the impression that you would receive money?
Uh-huh. Yeah, definitely. When you get a phone call like that, or you get paperwork like that saying, hey, we need this information so we can get you this money, of course you feel like you're going to get it. And you've earned it.
NITS estimates she's owed $7,600. Richard Vandersandy from Plymouth, $5,400. Nicole Middleton from Oshkosh, $6,600.
It was like a back and forth saying, yeah, you're going to get it, no, you're not going to get it. And then the last word we had heard was that it wasn't going to happen.
The Army acknowledges some soldiers have been paid, those mixed up between the program's creation and implementation. But members of the 1157th returned home just days after a government cutoff for those payouts.
If we would have come back 10 days earlier, we would have got the money and it'd be over.
Soldiers were then told the only option became extra time off their next deployment. The Army said it was never the intent for cash payouts and suspended further payments. For retired veterans like NITS, Vandersandy, and Middleton, the benefits were lost.
There is no understanding at all of why we aren't getting it. Nothing.
Soldiers have since pleaded with lawmakers. The legislation introduced today would ensure not only the dozens of Wisconsin National Guard soldiers be paid, but an estimated 600 soldiers nationwide.
We are working as hard as we can on a daily basis if necessary to get this done, to get them what they deserve. They are people in the National Guard who sacrifice greatly to serve our country.
While the dollar amount for these soldiers would be nice, they say it's more the principle and symbolism, still questioning if they'll see the money they were once told they earned.
I hope. Faith, yeah, I pray. How's that?